Fernando Mendoza, number 1 to the Raiders. Obviously, the draft starts at 2. I think the Jets are going Arbel Reese. You got to go with ceiling. You got to go with ceiling, and Arbel Reese has the highest ceiling out of these edge rushers. So they go with Reese. That dude is so fast. I was rewatching some Ohio State film earlier today. That dude is a fucking pro. I was watching them specifically against Washington, and Arbel Reese as a spy on Demon Williams was just gross. Dude, the guy is so quick. The Cardinals at 3, they went offensive line in free agency. I have a feeling they're just going to go BPA here. They do have holes on the defensive side of the ball. They could use another edge rusher. And although I think Ruben Bain is better than David Bailey, I haven't done my full homework on David Bailey. I have some done, not my full. I still think the arm length is going to worry some guys, even though I don't think it should. And if I'm the Cardinals, I go with Ruben Bain here. I think they go David Bailey. The Titans at 4, very, very interesting team here. Very, very interesting team. With the Chiefs and the Saints both signing running backs, that tells me that they don't think Jeremiah Love is going to make it to the 8th or 9th pick, which is fair. He might be the best football player in this draft. Do the Titans, who do have a need at running back, possibly go Jeremiah Love? Or was it the Giants that are going to go Jeremiah Love? Or the Commanders that are going to go Jeremiah Love? Not that the Giants don't have they don't have a need at running back, but Jeremiah Love's a better player than Cam Scattergood. I don't think that they would do that, especially with their needs on the secondary and at the linebacker position. But the Titans and the Commanders, I think, are real favorites now to get Jeremiah Love. And I think Tennessee just might do it. If we learned anything from free agency, they addressed their needs at corner. They addressed their needs on the defensive side of the ball. They could still go with Ruben Bain here. And I think that would be the best decision for Tennessee to do. But it is worth noting that the Chiefs and the Saints both signed running backs because I don't think they think Jeremiah Love would get there. If they did, Jeremiah Love's probably better option than Kenneth or Alvin Kamara, and he would be cheaper. So maybe they know something we don't. And although I think it would be too foolish for the Titans to go running back here, I think they would go Ruben Bain because that's just that defensive line then would be a problem. John Franklin Myers, Jeffrey Simmons, Ruben Bain, Jermaine Johnson, and those guys can play all four of those guys. I mean, Simmons can't go on the edge, but all 3 or 4 of those guys can play all 4 positions. And Bob Saleh does love to run edge rusher by committee. Add a beast in Ruben Bain to that committee. I think that's a problem there. The Giants are a team that could very easily go running back at 5 as well, but I don't think this is where we see Jeremiah Love go off the board. I think this is where we see Caleb Downs come off the board. The Browns at 6. They just signed Quincy Williams. Last year they drafted the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Carson Schlesinger. They're fine at edge. They did lose Greg Newsome, but I think there's better players on the board right now than to go with the Delane or McCoy. They need offensive tackle help. If Francis Mauiaga gets this far, I think it's a no-brainer for Cleveland to go Mauiaga. And then I don't think there's a world where Jeremiah Love gets past this Commanders pick at 8 or 9. Even though if I'm the Commanders, I'm going Jordan Tyson here. I don't think there's a world, because if there was a world where Jeremiah Love is here at 8 or 9, the Saints and the Chiefs would not have signed worse running backs than Jeremiah Love for a more expensive price tag. So Jeremiah Love 2-7 to the Washington Commanders makes a ridiculous amount of sense right now at this point after free agency. And then the Saints at 8 would be licking their chops if Sonny Styles is still on the board. And the only way this doesn't happen in my eyes is if the Giants or Titans go Sonny Styles. And if the Giants or Titans go Sonny Styles, I have a hard time seeing the Browns could go Downs here. Like, worst case scenario for the Saints is that Bain, Downs, Styles are all off the board. And then they're sitting here at 8 with Jeremiah Love. But even then, they could still just go Tyson and they'll be just fine. So I think, but ideally, Styles, Love, or Bain reaches 8, and the Saints fill a really big need defensively. But I think after free agency, I think it's known around the league at this point that Jeremiah Love is not getting past the Commanders at 7. Because why would the Saints and Chiefs both get running backs? That just doesn't make sense to me. Now the Chiefs on the clock at 9. And I think Jordan Tyson is the best receiver in this draft class. Then I think Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon are behind him, and it's close. But I also think Makai Lemon in the right scheme can be the most productive receiver in this draft class. And there's not a guy that finds the soft spot in the zone coverage in this draft class the way Makai Lemon does. And what has Travis Kelce made a Hall of Fame career doing in this Andy Reid offense? Finding the soft spot in the zone, sitting down in it, being a possession guy he was a beast after the catch in his prime, but really savvy route runner with high football IQ. Similar type of player, different position, but similar type of player as Makai Lemon, whose ball skills are unparalleled. Go get Patrick Mahomes a weapon. And then you think about the receiving core he has. He has Rashee Rice, who can be the yak guy, get him into open space. You have Xavier Worthy, who can take the top off of the defense. And even though Travis Kelce signed for one more year in Kansas City, you get Makai Lemon that can be the next Travis Kelce, but obviously not at the tight end position, where he can be the possession, move the chains. We need a first down. We need a big play. Go find the soft spot in the zone and sit down. The Chiefs go Makai Lemon at 9, and I'm not buying all of this smoke that's been going on surrounding Makai Lemon in terms of he's got off the field issues to worry about. He bombed his interviews. I think that's just smoke. Makai Lemon is a dog. And then at 10, the Bengals lose Cam Taylor-Britt. The Bengals could also really use an edge or a defensive player here, but I think Mansour Delane would be the best defensive player on the board here. Pair him up with DJ Turner, and all of the sudden, the Bengals might have a pretty good secondary here with the addition of not Kobe Bryant. I keep getting him confused. Brian Cook, DJ Turner, Mansour Delane, really solid secondary being built all of a sudden in Cincinnati. Miami at 11, they need offensive line help. They really do. They just got in Malik Willis. What better way to go about things than getting him his franchise left tackle out of Utah in Spencer Fanu, who I can't find on this app because for some reason they have Caleb Lomu over him, which is like consensus incorrect. Spencer Fanu at 11 to the Miami Dolphins, and then the Dallas Cowboys licking their chops here with Jermod McCoy staring them in the face. Nice and easy layup there. And then the Rams at 13. Very interesting team here. They don't have a lot of needs, so I would just assume they would go best player available. And right now, the best player available on my board would be Jordan Tyson at 13 to the Rams. Get Devontae Adams, replacement who's out in his last year of his contract. Get a good wide receiver 3 there, which is a need. It's like Jordan Whittington right now. Add Jordan Tyson to this already really explosive offense at 13 here for LA. The Ravens, bunch of holes. They need edge rusher desperately. They also need some offensive line help. They could go on the interior with the kid out of Penn State. They could go tackle with Caleb Lumu or Monroe Freeling. I don't think that'd be the worst case scenario, but they need defensive line help and they need it bad. They have no edge help. It's Kyle Van Noy. Their back end is pretty good with Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton. They could use a safety here, but I think it's a little high for a guy like Dylan Theinman, who is a really good player. So I think the Ravens are in a good spot here where they could go with Freeling, they could go with Falk, they could go with Peter Woods, they could even go with the Olavide Ioane if they want to try and move one of their guards they already have to center. But I think overall they got to go tackle here. Get a Ronnie Stanley replacement. I don't know who their right tackle is, but I'm pretty sure my friend Zach, who's a Ravens fan, they don't have a good right tackle. Monroe Freeling here, tackle out of Georgia to Baltimore. 15, a team that has not done anything, but they desperately need help on the edge and on that defensive line. I think Keldrick Falk here to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers makes a whole lot of sense. And then if I'm the Jets here, I'm just solidifying that offensive line. Joe Tippmann, Josh Myers, Armand Membu, Olu Fashanu. Had a freaking brain fart there for a second. Go get, who might be the best offensive lineman in this draft, Oliva Vega, Ioane at guard, and you have a young, elite group of offensive linemen for your franchise quarterback, probably Arch Manning or Julian Sain, who they're going to take next year. And then if I am the Lions here, you just had Taylor Decker. You just released Taylor Decker. Go get your tackle of the future in Caleb Lumu here. That makes a lot of sense there. 18 at Minnesota. Carnell Tate is just dropping down this board. All of the sudden, I think it's time for a trade here. Who's a team that needs a wide receiver if Carnell Tate drops this far? Because, wow, I didn't realize how far he dropped. The Miami Dolphins do need a wide receiver, but who's a team? Oh, I know who comes up here. The Patriots are coming up with the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to trade a first this year and they're going to go first, third, and their second next year for Minnesota's first round pick, the 18th overall pick. They're going to come up and they're going to select Carnell fucking Tate. The fact that I have Tate falling this far is a little bit concerning. Some teams that could have taken him are a team like the Saints could have taken receiver at 8. The Chiefs could have went Tate over Lemon. The Dolphins could have went receiver at 11, but the Patriots is just too good to pass up. They move up here and they take. Well, something happened. I think I did the wrong thing here because the Vikings aren't drafting at 31. So I must have clicked the button wrong. But we'll fix that once the time presents itself. The Paytons come up and get Carnell Tate as he refuses to fall any further. The Panthers have been a busy team in free agency so far. Devin Lloyd, Jalen Phillips. I still think they could use another edge rusher. I know Nick Scorton is there, but Kenyon Sadiq has become a guy that Panthers fans can't seem to stop talking about. Kenyon Sadiq this, Kenyon Sadiq that. I watched a little bit of this guy's tape, and there's a lot left to be desired. He has some of those plays you're like, all right, this guy is legit, and he's obviously an athletic freak, but I like where they are offensively. I like where the Panthers are offensively. They could use another safety there with Trayvon Moehrig. They have some good corners in Mike Jackson and J.C. Horn, but could they just beef up this defensive line even more in a division that has Tyler Shuck, that has Baker Mayfield and Tua Tagovailoa and or Michael Penix? Could they go defensive line here? I think it's a real possibility. Some Panthers fans want Sadiq, but imagine they go, and this is a guy that I'm higher on than most here, in Caden McDonald, and just pair up him, Caden McDonald, with Derek Brown on the interior of that defensive line and just free up clog holes for Devin Lloyd to come make plays. I don't hate that at all. I like Caden McDonald here, who I think has just been incredibly underrated throughout this draft process. He made Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese look really good because he would just eat up blocks. He's a little slow, and he does miss some. He has trouble finishing at times, and the tape that I've seen, but he is just a monster. There's always at least 4 hands on him, sometimes 6, and sometimes that's not even enough. He's always moving the line of scrimmage backwards. He is just a real beast. You combine him with Derek Brown on a defense that now has Jalen Phillips, Devin Lloyd, and a good secondary. I think that would be disgusting in Carolina. At 20, the Cowboys back on the clock again. They still have needs on the defensive side of the ball. I think their offense is in a very, very good spot. They have Jake Ferguson, so Sadiq here wouldn't make too much sense. They could go edge here. I think they would. Keldrick Folk still. Never mind. I'm an idiot. The Bucks took him. Now is where I have a trouble with these edge rushers, man. Now is where I have a real problem with these edge rushers. I think the best is Messidor, but all of a sudden Cassius Howell's dropped. TJ Parker was really good a couple of years ago. Zion Young, I did not like his tape too much. He didn't even look like the best edge rusher on Mizzou. I forget the guy's name, but he transferred to Miami now. I feel like Messidor is the best. He is an experienced player. Put him on a defensive line with Kenny Clark. And yeah, I mean, I like Messidor a lot. I'm not fading Messidor whatsoever. Now the Steelers are an interesting team. I think they filled a lot of needs this free agency. They got a wide receiver too. They got a CB2 there. They might just go best player available. And with Cam Hayward on the way out, they drafted Derek Harmon last year. They have Yahya Black. They have Nate Herbig. They have Alex Highsmith. TJ Watt's still around, even though he's regressed. Could they just go Peter Woods here? Or could they get a rangy safety that has an absolute a million football IQ with a hammer, pause, like he's a big hitter? The idea of just like Caleb Banks and Derek Harmon just ruining teams for the next 5 years, it makes a lot of sense. But, oh, no, Arthur Smith's not the OC anymore, I guess. So, but Omar Khan does love his tight ends. You know what? Fuck it. I think that the Steelers are the type of team to just double dip on first round D tackles. They go Caleb Banks. Imagine that defensive line. Imagine that defense. And then that defense would be set too. Like Cam Hayward's aging, even though he had a really good year last year. How good is Yahya Black? Derek Harmon was really good. Night and day in run defense with Derek Harmon on the field and Derek Harmon not on the field. Caleb Banks is a monster in run fit. He's going to be opening up creases. 4. He's going to be clogging up blocks, getting hands on him, making it easier for Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson. Well, Peyton Wilson, a very, very volatile player. He's a fucking chicken with his head cut off. Sometimes he's in the hole, sometimes he's in the wrong hole, but he's always in a hole. And there's going to be plenty of area, plenty of gaps to fill with a Caleb Banks and Derek Harmon defensive line. So I understand they could have gone Sadiq here. They could have gone interior offensive line, but I don't think it's just not a position of need really that much. Even though maybe position of need's the wrong word. It's just a little bit early to pass up on some of these players to go for the interior guy out of Oregon here at 21 for the Steelers. But the Chargers at 22, they need some interior offensive lineup. They signed Tyler Biodesh, but they lost Zion Johnson, even though that guy stinks. They're getting their tackles back, so I think they have 3 out of the 5 pieces of their offensive line. They signed Trevor Penning, which is better than what it was last year. So they could go offensive line here. I doubt it, though. Oronde Gadsden had a pretty good rookie season, but he's not Peter Woods. They just signed Tyre Tart. They need corner. I'm not an Avion Terrell guy. I'm not an Avion Terrell guy. I have to do my homework on some of the other corners. I love D'Angelo Pons, but a lot of people seem to like Avion Terrell. I'm not seeing it. I think they go Terrell here. Keep an eye on Dylan Theinman, though. They could very well go Theinman here. Avion Terrell, 22, and this leaves the Eagles just a layup here to replace Reed Blankenship with Dylan Thieneman. I'm definitely butchering that guy's name a million times, but I watched a little bit of Oregon defense today. I got to tell you, Nate Finney, or I think that's his first name, Nate. Edward Finney, freshman, had a couple of picks against Texas Tech. That dude is just all over the place for this Oregon defense when I watched them this year. But Dylan Thieneman is a beast, and him to Philadelphia would solve a lot of problems. Well, their main loss this year, they could go edge here for sure, but Thieneman's too good of a player. I had him mocked going as high as, like, I think I had the Rams taking him at 13 at one point. Really good value, really high IQ player. Just seems like such a Howie pick where he just goes BPA. And I think at this point, he would be the best player on the board. The Browns back on the clock. They went tackle with Mauiaga in the first round, or with their first pick. I think they come back and go receiver here. And I'm starting to close in on my wide receiver 4 in this class. And I really do think it's Omar Cooper. And that's where the Browns go here. Get another weapon to throw on the other side of Jerry Jeudy and Harold Fannin. Omar Cooper, you are a Cleveland Brown. The Bears at 25 are a very, very interesting team. I got to fix this Patriots thing. It's bothering me. But the Bears are a very interesting team because they might still go after Trey Hendrickson. And if they go after Trey Hendrickson, I don't know if they'll go edge here. They don't have a lot of needs offensively. They could go tackle because no, tackle's the play here. I forget their left tackle might never play football again. I forget that. Caden Proctor to the Bears, get a left tackle, solidify that offensive line once again. The Bills at 26, they need defense. And if Peter Woods falls to the Bills at 26, I picked the wrong player. Well, Casey Conception fits too, not going to lie. They do need receiver help. But if Peter Woods falls to the Bills at 26, I think they go Peter Woods. But Peter Woods at 27 also makes a lot of sense because the Niners need interior defensive lineup. So if you listen to the podcast and you're watching, and you're not just watching the graphic that I post on Instagram, these two, it would be Peter Woods at 26, Conception probably, I don't even know where Conception would go. But this works out fine for the graphic. I meant to click Peter Woods, misclicked. 28, the Houston Texans. We're going to have another trade here. The Pittsburgh Steelers just got off the phone with Aaron Rodgers. A-Rod goes, hey, I know this is kind of last minute with the first round wrapping up and everything, but I'm coming back for next season. Simultaneously, the Steelers are looking at the draft board. Ty Simpson is still on the board. The Texans are drafting. They give the Texans a ring here because there are some teams that might be looking to come into the first round and get a Ty Simpson before the Jets have that first pick in the second round. And they go, hey, Houston, I'll send you a first next year, the 53rd pick in this year's draft. If you give me a 5th, a 6th, and 28 right now, I want Ty Simpson. And the Texans accept, and the Steelers get their quarterback of the future, Ty Simpson. The Steelers trading back into the first round to pair up Ty Simpson and Caleb Banks. And the Steelers are back. And then the Chiefs here at 29. It seems written in the stars that the Chiefs are going to go corner here. I don't know who the best corner is out of these guys. I know who I think it is, and that would be good old D'Angelo Pons to the Kansas City Chiefs at 29. That would be gross. 30, Denver. They did lose a linebacker in Dre Greenlaw. CJ Allen staring them in the face. They could go receiver here. I don't like the receivers at this point. I think Sean Payton's fine with his weapons. CJ Allen to the Denver Broncos. The Patriots could go receiver. They also need some help at edge, and there is a very, very productive edge rusher staring them in the face in Cassius Howell. There is some good offensive line play, but the best ones are off the board. I don't think they go tackle here. I still think they believe in Will Campbell and Morgan Moses, at least for this season. So they're going to go defense. They're going to go edge. They're going to get one of the most productive edge rushers, if not the most productive edge rusher in this year's draft. And Lee Hunter is a dog, by the way. Keep that guy in mind. I think that's who will have the Seattle Seahawks going, quite frankly. But they need help on the edge. They have Milton Williams. They have Christian Barmore. They have I forget the other guys. They just signed a D tackle in Bridge. They go with the most productive edge rusher last season in NCAA football, Cassius Howell, and then the Seahawks rounding out 32. They go with none other. Where is he? Where the fuck is he? Where is he? Show me Lee Hunter to the Seahawks at 32. Oh, no, I forgot. I'm so stupid. I forgot to do the Patriots, whatever. The Patriots traded that pick. I'm an idiot. I forgot to do it. Whatever. Fuck it. That's the episode. The Patriots traded a first-round pick next year to move up for Carnell Tate. That's what they did. They first-round pick next year to move up for Carnell Tate, and they sit and pick Cassius Howell at 31. Good stuff for the Patriots. We got a couple of trades here. I like where we're at. I think this is my favorite mock draft yet, even though I fucked up a few things. I misclicked the Patriots trade, and I misclicked Casey Conception and Peter Woods. Either way, I think it works out. I think it'll play on the graphic. And for the most part, I love where my mind is. I think I'm starting to really get a good feel for this draft class. And after free agency, it's helping everything. Everything is seeing so clearly now for what these teams' needs are. Most importantly, right here, if you're watching, Jeremiah Love and Sonny Styles. I think Jeremiah Love doesn't get past 7 now. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button if you made it this far.